right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar, and we're going to get started with the analysis this morning. Really quick, Dow futures down 41 points. See, crude's down 2.7%. Gold's up $10. Copper's up 1/3%. Pretty quiet this far this morning. All right, so let's go to the euro dollar. I got a question just a little while ago from Camacho. Is the dollar going to strengthen here? And the thing about what we've seen in the markets thus far is as equities bounce, the dollar tends to bounce too. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, if you go back to our analysis on Friday, okay, on Friday we talked about the euro dollar selling off, hitting some support here at the 786 or rallying, and obviously you can see everything didn't transfer over very good over the weekend, but that's okay because when they shut off the data, it pushed up that line. But we really have just still been bouncing around, even following Friday's data, and I would think that this support here at the 786 is still pretty doable, and very possible for us to get to. All right, now also taking a better look at or a good look at the euro dollar here. One thing you have to note is it's extremely choppy. Okay, the European Central Bank said that in March they're going to revisit their monetary policy, which basically says, hey, if things don't improve, we're going to expand our balance sheets a little bit more. That hit the euro. We recovered following Draghi's comments, and then we've sold off again. Doesn't surprise me that we're moving lower. I think that eventually, the euro dollar will probably be heading back down towards this like 106 level. This is a bigger wedge. I mean, you can still look at it that we've looked at it in the past. You can still look at it as a, I'm going to do this loosely, but you guys can see it. So you have, we still have the flag pattern. Crap, it didn't turn out the way I wanted it, but that's okay. You guys get the gist of it. So you can still look at it like a flag, that's heading lower. We're just, obviously we're winding up in a bearish wedge. Okay, but where the rubber meets the road, or what really matters at this point in time, are these two yellow lines. All right, and you notice how we're smack dab in the middle. So I'm not super excited about the euro dollar at these levels, and you guys know, as I told you last week, I was really looking for a short in the euro dollar up here at the near the 110. I was hoping we'd get above 110 to like 110.20. It just never happened. I mean, the highest we got is 109.70 and then rolled over. If we can bounce back sometime this week towards like the 109, 50, 109.60, that'd be great. It's possible, especially if the market gets risk averse. It's possible we can head up there. But for now, what we're dealing with is we're really just dealing with, resistance that's capping us at this 108.60. And I think that as long as we stay below 108.60, we're probably going to be coming in closer towards this 107.50, which again, it's the 786 retracement. Okay, it would be right here, 107.70 actually. So I think that's doable. And then if we break through that, that's going to open the door for a move back to 107. So 107.70, 108.60, still looking at a, maybe a short up there. And, if you guys want to go counter trend long, maybe a counter trend long down there. Again, there's no data out today. We don't have any, economic data that's going to hit the wires. So anything that you're seeing here is driven predominantly by risk appetite, or risk appetite or risk aversion, and it's probably going to be dominated by the moves that you see in crude oil as well. All right. So support being at 1.0770, right? And resistance, so I almost did that. Resistance at 10860, 1.0860, and we're still in a range. Okay, let's go to the cable. Like I said, I bought some pound this morning. I'm only up 10 pips, so, and I've got a very small position. It's only a third size. I wouldn't mind adding on to it, but here's what I did. All right, so I bought on a little bit of a pullback. If you go back to like Friday's analysis, we were here, okay, and I played this poorly because I was long. I was long here. I sold it here. We got to here, so I didn't. I missed a lot of the move. Anyway, I thought we'd pull back towards the breakout point, which you can see this morning we have slipped basically to a 50% retracement of this last move up. As I mentioned to the guys and gals in the chat room, I'm willing to actually buy more cable, even if we slip below 142, because that is the 618 right through here. All right, the 618 retracement comes in at 141.90. If you have an opportunity to buy the cable down here, I think this is going to be the place that you want to own it. All right, what I think we're doing, I think we're developing an inverted head and shoulder pattern, and I hate looking at it this early. You guys know I'm not a big fan of trying to be early on one of these, but I actually want to buy the cable because I think it's so oversold. Okay, that's why I think this could really develop. Like we could come back up here, break, and then we'll see 146. Sometime in the next week. Okay, but like I said, I'm buying it not because I think it's an inverted head and shoulder pattern. I'm buying it because I think the pound's oversold. That's really the reason why. Okay, but I think we can still get to 141.90 today. So if we get to 141.90, that should be really good support. Resistance, which is key resistance, is right here. Is 143.60. All right. That 143.60, remember, this is such a big deal because it spawns all the way back to the moves back in on the 12th and 13th. So this is really big resistance, 143.60. Huge resistance there. Okay, we are in a downtrend. But I think if we break through 143.60, we're going to go back to neutral, because what's going to happen is, in my view, again, and I'll just reiterate here, if we end up doing this like this inverted head and shoulder pattern, like let's say it's shoulder, head, shoulder, we get back to here, we break, we're going back to 146, and then we're going to be bouncing around for a while, right? So again, let me delete that. Okay, so if we can break above 143.60, that puts us back in a range environment. And like I told you guys, I got long some cable down here at 142.36. I already got longs. I'm only in 1/3 size position. I'm trading really small, and that's aside from adding to my Canadian exposure. This is the only trade I've done this morning. Right. Is just getting along a little bit of cable down here. Let's go over the Swissy. Swissy looks great. I'm really kind of bummed out I'm not long the dollar Swiss right now. I own some Canadian Swiss, but I'm bummed out that I didn't take advantage of this. I didn't take advantage of this dip. I wasn't around for that dip. But this dollar Canadian, or a dollar Swiss, excuse me, looks solid. It looks like we're going to retest like the 103s eventually. Let's go ahead and take a look at the trend line's actually still in play. Okay, we drew this last week, and you can see it's still in play. All right, that means 101.25 is really strong support. So 1.0125 is strong support, and resistance. See where our next fib level comes into play. 102, which will be a 786, right? Yep. So 102.10. We're in a range, but we're making our way higher. You know, we're in a range environment, bigger range. Oops. You know, bigger range here, trying to turn bullish, but you know, it looks good, in my opinion. Okay. Let's go over to the dollar yen. So the dollar yen. As I explained to you guys, I'm looking for a move up towards 120, ultimately. 120 to 120, 70. If I can get short from 120 to 170, or we can get short up there, I think that's going to be a great opportunity for us. Equity futures, like Dow futures, are down 39 points right now. I think they're just in the middle of a recovery. We're just having a little bit of a pullback here. As long as we reside over this blue line, okay, I'm gonna get rid of this right now. Get rid of that. I'm trying to minimize some of this stuff. Okay, this is just so you know, down here, down at the 116, that is a neckline of a big head and shoulder pattern. It's not the best head and shoulder pattern in the world, and you guys know I'm not like a huge fan because the head is so small, but I know everybody's looking at it, like everybody. Okay, so shoulder, head, shoulder, right? So I'm expecting a move, towards 120 to be able to short there and look for a bigger move down in like the stock market. Dollar yen, I'm expecting, moves lower. But for right now, I think any dip down here towards this support, 118, just like last Friday, where we said any dip down to 117.90, any dip down towards 117.75, this trend line supporting really well. You can see it's working really good. So any move down to 117.75 will be supported. I think if we get down there, I might actually get long. If we can get down there, I'm not going to chase the thing higher, but if I can get a dip down here, I might pick up a little bit. All right, resistance right now is at 118.90. Let's get rid of this. I don't think we need that either. I wonder something. Hold on really quick. Oh yeah, so that's a 618. Oop. Stop. Yeah, I mean, the 118.90 is a 618. You can see the horizontal resistance right there. That's huge resistance. We break through 118, 118, I'm going to write down 118.85, but if we break that, dollar yen's going to start screaming higher. 118.85. That's key resistance. We went from a bearish trend. I think I put us back into a range last Friday because we're back into the range until we break through this neckline. until we make a real significant break below the 115 level. I think we were bearish and now we're just kind of back into the range. But like I said, any rally to 120, I'm a seller if we can get up there. All right, let's take a look at the Canadian. All right. So Joseph asks, hey Blake, why are you selling at the 618? Well, Joseph, the thing about the dollar Canadian is I think the dollar Canadian, that 618, ended up, stalling us. But I think ultimately we're heading a lot lower. So if you look at a longer term move in the Canadian, if you go all the way from the last big move where it started from 118 and change to 147 roughly, the 38% retracement comes in at 136.35. I actually believe that is going to be ultimately my target for these Canadian pairs. There's obviously some big hurdles that need to be overcome between now and then, but what I think that you're seeing here is just a very near-term bounce. All right. So what we did overnight is we actually bounced back to where I got asked on Friday. On Friday, somebody asked me, hey Blake, can we bounce back to 142.30? I'm like, yeah, I think we can bounce back to there. And any bounce back to 142.30 is going to find a bunch of sellers, myself included. Unfortunately, I was asleep at the time, so I had to sell some when we were at 142. But I actually added, after exiting a portion of my position last Friday, I started nibbling back already. I've not added back my entire position, but I am starting to buy more Canadian currency. All right, today resistance is at 142.30. Period. End of story. Okay, that's resistance. I think we need to go back into a range, and well, you know what? I take that back. It's still a very bullish trend. It really is. I mean, just because I'm shorting it doesn't make it a bearish trend or a range environment. I think probably while we're above 140, I think if we break through 140, I think that pretty much will keep sellers around any rally. Then after that, and obviously dips down to the 130s are going to be bought. But personally, I think it's still in a pretty bullish trend, even though I'm short. You guys know I'm this trade with the Canadian. I'm trying to catch more of an intermediate top, and it's not going to be easy. Never is when you're trying to catch a turn in the market. So support that comes in from Friday will be that spike low that came in at 141.11. If we break through that, I'll just write down 141.10. If we break through that, we should challenge 140. Okay, so I'm going to put in 140.4110. So 41.10, that's going to be really big support on the way back down. Let's do the Kiwi really quick. So here's the Kiwi. The Kiwi, surprisingly, is really underperforming. When the thing that stuck out to me on Friday is that we came rallying back on Friday, yet the Kiwi dollar really just kind of, it actually, I think it was down if I'm not mistaken. The RBNZ is this week, and let me see if the market's looking for a cut. Let me double check. According to Forex Factory, they're not. Okay, I'm going to go. I'll look at trading economics as well, but um, you know, I think that there's a chance that the RBNZ cuts, but the good news is if they do cut, it looks like the majority of the market is not expecting it. So that means if they do cut, the Kiwi is likely to get absolutely, blasted. Um, the only exposure I have in the New Zealand dollar right now, actually I take that back. I have some short Kiwi exposure. I I bought I bought a little bit of pound New Zealand on Friday. Very small position, very small position. I just wanted to get some exposure out there on Friday, just to um, uh, just so I had it on my board, so I'm watching it, and I still have Aussie New Zealand longs, obviously. So I'd be really happy if the Kiwi got destroyed. That'd be good news, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. 6460 would be support from, gosh, that's overnight lows. Um, it's below Friday's lows. Let me check a couple of things. Okay, let's imagine. Let's imagine if we break lower, which looks like could very easily happen here. I would look for support down here at 64 and a quarter. That's going to be retesting this trend line here, that channel support. So I'm not going to write down its low. I'm going to write down 64 and a quarter support. Resistance is, well, it's obviously right there because I'm going to put that back, don't worry. Okay. Oops. Shoot. Stop right there. Oh, I was wondering. I didn't have my magnet on, which will put me right to the tip of the wick. Okay, so anyway, 64 and a quarter here. Resistance is going to be 65.30. 65.30, and support, we're in a range, by the way. Support is at 64 and a quarter. 64.25. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it like that. All right. When I come back, we're going to do the Aussie dollar index, peso, Norwegian krona, Swedish krona, and maybe we'll look at some of the emerging market currencies like the South African rand. We can take a look at the Turkish lira. We'll look at some of those when I get back. All right, don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a few moments. Thanks. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You were listening to the Morning Edge webinar. Really quick, how many of you guys picked up some cable down there in the low 142s? Did any of you guys do that? Did any of you guys pick up some Canadian short when it was up at 143? Okay, Edge, Alan did. Rick made some on cable. Alan S did on cable. Hamid did both. Well, okay, we're getting good. We're getting a little good little lift on those. Joe shorted some dollar Canadian. Greg grabbed some cable. Eric, hey, what's up, Eric? You staying warm? Said he shorted a little Canadian. Michael Gator picked up some cable. That's good. Good. So you guys are guys are doing that. I think, like I said, the cable is one of those that I haven't added to it. I mean, I could take off 30 pips right now, but I'd rather see if it can build back towards 143 and change. That's what I'm hoping, is we can get a little bit of a move there. All right, let's continue on. We have more to do with the Aussie. Let's go take a look at the Aussie. So it sounds like you guys are making a few little bucks. That is good. Good. All right, so here's the Aussie. All right. So Dimitri earlier asked about this double bottom here in the Aussie. You know what I like most about the Aussie dollar, and by the way, I do not own it. I own the Aussie New Zealand, but I do not own the Aussie dollar. But do you know what I like most about it? Is that last week, okay, we did we closed, well, let's go back like a week and a half ago, right? We closed in breakdown territory. Last week, we pulled a false breakdown, and I mean, I realistically should be long the Aussie right now. You got a double bottom here. You got a double bottom. Target takes us to basically 71 or 70.90. I mean, I should be long some Aussie. I'm not going to right now, but any dip down here to 69.60 this is the neckline right here, right? And I wonder if I should delete this. If anything, I need to move it back. I just need to move it over a little bit. Okay. Any move down to 69.55, that'll be a nice buying opportunity, right? 69.55, be a nice buying opportunity. Resistance, we'll write 70.50, but the double top takes us all the way up towards 71 cents. All right, so. $70.50. Okay, and we are in a range environment. We've gone from bearish to range last week. The false breakdown. Let's go over to the dollar index. Oops, it's over here. All right. So here's the dollar index. Let's go over to an hourly. So we continue to build this, wedge. See very, very strong support here. That means that this low at 99.30 should be a strong support. Okay, resistance. Resistance, 99. I know we spiked up to 99.80, but 99.75. Let me double check something. Okay, that's an approximation anyway. So yeah, 99.80 is going to be key resistance. 99.80 is going to be key resistance. Okay, and we are in a range, but we're building a bullish wedge. Okay, that's what it's happening. Even if we break through here, through this support today, let's just say we do, it doesn't matter. We're still building this bullish wedge going this way. So even if we break down here, there's still going to be a lot of support in the dollar. Okay. Let's take a look at the peso. So the peso, which is really interesting, and I'm actually hoping for a rally on the peso now, because we technically last week we hit a lower low. The damage is done. Okay, the damage is done. We hit a lower low, but we're still holding above this right here. Okay, we might be setting up a head and shoulder pattern. I would really love to see a rally up towards 1860, and if we get it, I'm going to be a seller. So I'm going to be a seller somewhere up here if we can get it. Okay, 1863. And this takes us as high as 1867. Okay, a 618 from the high to that spike low is 1863. So if we get a move up to 1863 in the peso, I'm thinking I'm going to take a counter trend trade. So 1863. Okay, now support is right here. This is massive support. This is 1832. That breaks 18.32. That is pretty strong support. If that support breaks, then you know that risk appetite's probably improving. And but this is a still very bullish trend, very, very bullish. And just, you know, this is kind of like the Canadian. I'm starting to go looking for a top. You know, same thing in the peso. I'm actually looking for a top up at these levels. Okay, let's go to the Norwegian krone. So here's the Norwegian krone. You know what's really interesting about this one? I mean, we're still seeing divergence, right? We're still seeing that divergence. But what's really interesting about the Norwegian krone is crude oil is down 3% today. This Norwegian krone is near its trend lows. Thing is weak, and I'm short the U.S. dollar Norwegian krone, and I'm doing pretty good in it. You know, we are coming out of an ascending wedge, so any rally to 885. You have to use it as a selling opportunity, and this low here is, let's just call it roughly 870, right? I mean, I know it's I would say 870. It's a round number. It's actually 871, but here. U.S. dollar Norwegian krone. It's still bullish, but we're coming out of that. We're coming out of the ascending wedge, which now is putting in, you know, a possible reversal, right? So the support is 8.700. It's key support. Resistance, if you get an opportunity to short it at 885, I think that'll be a great place to be on the short side up here, if you can get it. And I mean, me personally, I'm not short a lot of US dollar Norwegian krone, but I wouldn't mind shorting some more if we can get up there. All right. Okay, let's take a look at the, wow, the dollar Canadian bounced back. Bounced back 30 pips since I sat back down. Look at this thing. Wow, look at that. We were down in the 60s and then we bounced right back to 142. Tempting to short some more, but I don't need any more Canadian exposure right now. But it is tempting to me. All right. Let's go over to the Swedish krona. Swedish krona is still really messy. I told you guys last week I took a loss in this on, I think it was Thursday. I tried to buy it here and it slipped right back below, and I'm just like, screw it. You know, I'm not trading it. Overall, we're still in a very bullish trend, but I think we need to see more of a movement in the dollar against, you know, the euro, the cable, you know, to really get it moving here. So I'm going to leave that one alone. Let's take a look at the some of these emerging market currencies. Let's go to the US dollar. I want to actually take a look at I'm going to take a look at a few. All right, so and we're going to look at the ruble, not necessarily to buy the ruble, because I don't trade this currency, but I'm looking at it more for risk appetite. You know, what's really interesting is we had a false breakout on a weekly chart here. We did the cup and handle completion, the weekly chart. That's a gravestone doji on the US dollar ruble. How many of you can any of you trade the ruble? Any of you out there? I can't. I'm asking. And any of you can you trade the ruble? Like buy or sell rubles? Anybody? Christos can. China can. Joe can. Anna can. All right. Can I? Let me double check. I don't think I can. I cannot. Okay. If you can buy the ruble, or you can trade the ruble, I would be strongly considering buying some rubles. Because of this inverted hammer, shooting star, gravestone doji, whatever you want to call it. I mean, it may be bouncing right now, but I would use this bounce as a selling opportunity personally. And like I said, I can't trade it. I have no skin in the game here, but yeah, I would use this as an opportunity. Probably like this right here would be like the sell zone right through here. And anywhere between 80.12 and 80 and a quarter. So Jan says there's like a 2,000 pip spread. It's probably what, bid 80, bid 79, offer 81. Yeah, you got to be careful with that, obviously. Yeah, watch your spreads. The liquidity isn't going to be great, but if you can get a good price, something to keep an eye on. Let's take a look at the Turkish lira. Not too far off of our all-time highs. Let's go to the Rand. I mean, the Rand's getting a little bit of a bounce, but probably not a bad, probably not a bad short somewhere around here if you think that stocks are going higher. Zloty is right up near its all-time highs. I mean, that's just, just showing us that there's a little bit of risk aversion here. Hold on really quick. All right, exceeded. 618 is up here. Yeah, interesting. These emerging market currencies, they're all a little weaker today. They're a little weaker as, stock market futures a little weaker as well. Okay. Yeah, and if you guys are going to trade like the ruble, for those of you that do, just be careful because the spreads are, I mean, if the spreads are that wide, then maybe it's, there's a better opportunity. But I think if you keep an eye on the ruble, if you see the ruble recover, that's also a good indication that stocks are probably going to try to recover too. All right, let me take some questions this morning. I'm going to go back here a little bit. I know I took a few, but let's go back. Let's see.